Okay, so picture this. You've got the perfect strategy. You've hired all these smart, ethical people. You've even got a mission statement that everyone really believes in. So why do things still go wrong? How is it that even good people sometimes end up doing bad things inside an organization? Well, that's the big puzzle we're going to tackle today. And trust me, as a future business leader, you are absolutely going to face this. You'll set a clear ethical goal, but the results, they just won't match what you intended. Now, it's really easy to just blame a bad apple, right? Or some character flaw. But what if the real problem isn't the person, but it's hidden in the system itself? What if the issue isn't the person, but the situation they're put in? The paper we're digging into argues that a lot of these ethical failures come from a structural problem called asymmetric information. Sounds fancy, but it's a super simple idea. One person in a deal just knows something that the other person doesn't. And that little bit of hidden knowledge, well, it can change everything. To see these hidden problems, you need a special kind of tool. Think of it like a pair of X-ray glasses for your organization. In economics, this tool is called the principal-agent framework. I know, it sounds a little academic, but it's an incredibly practical way to figure out why things are going off the rails. The core idea is actually really simple. It just describes any relationship where one person, we'll call them the principal, needs something done, and they hire another person, the agent, to do it for them. That's it. And this simple setup, you're going to see it everywhere in business. And I mean, everywhere. Shareholders hiring a CEO, that's a principal-agent relationship. A patient going to a doctor, same thing. You taking your car to a mechanic, you're the principal, they're the agent. The problem starts when the agent, the CEO, the doctor, the mechanic, knows a lot more than the principal. Which brings us to the first of two major villains that can totally wreck your best laid plans. This first one is called adverse selection, and it attacks before you even sign a contract or shake hands on a deal. Adverse selection is basically the what you don't know can hurt you problem. You know, it's the classic used car dilemma. The seller knows if the car is a total gem or a lemon, but you, the buyer, you have no idea. And because of that hidden information, you might accidentally end up choosing the bad car. The core ethical question here is all about truth-telling. Is the other person being honest about what they know? So think about how this plays out in business. A company might rave about its amazing culture in an interview, but they hide the fact that everyone who works there is miserable. Or a startup might show investors these amazing best-case scenario projections, but they conveniently leave out the huge risks they're facing. This is all adverse selection. It's a failure of truth-telling before the deal gets done. Okay, so let's say you get through all that. You manage to hire the right candidate. You invest in the startup. You've signed on the dotted line. Everything should be great now, right? Well, not so fast. Because now you've got to deal with our second villain, moral hazard. This problem pops up after the contract is signed. See, it's not about hidden information anymore. Now it's all about hidden action. The classic example here is a rental car. When you're driving a car that you don't own, you might be, let's say, a little less careful, right? You might take a risk you wouldn't normally take because, hey, you're not going to bear the full consequences. That's moral hazard. You promise to take care of the car, but since no one is watching your every move, your actions might change. So the core ethical issue here is promise keeping. In the business world, this looks like an employee who's maybe doing the bare minimum while working from home because their boss can't see them. Or a manager who takes a huge, risky bet with company money because, look, if it pays off, they get a massive bonus. But if it fails, the shareholders are the ones who take the hit. It's a failure to keep the promises that were made when the deal was signed. Okay, so we've met our two villains, adverse selection and moral hazard. Now, this might sound a little bleak, but here's the good news. Now that you can see them, you can actually fight them. This isn't about hoping people will be better. It's about building better systems. So how do we fix this? If you can't just trust people to do the right thing when no one's looking, what can you, as a manager, actually do to fix the system itself? The solution is actually pretty straightforward, and it targets each villain directly. To fight adverse selection, remember, that's the hidden information problem, the solution is to drag that information out into the light, disclose it. And to fight moral hazard, the hidden action problem, you have to make sure everyone's interests are pointing in the same direction. Align them. And these fixes are super practical. So to fight adverse selection, you can signal that you're trustworthy with things like a great brand reputation or industry certifications, or you can just be transparent. For moral hazard, the key is aligning incentives. The source paper for this explainer puts it perfectly. What sense does it make to ask people to tell the truth and keep their promises when the incentives are arranged so as to motivate people to lie and break their agreements? Exactly. So you have to reward the behavior you actually want to see. And finally, you monitor, you check in, you create real accountability. So there you have it. You have the toolkit. You've got the X-ray glasses, you know what to look for, and you have a playbook to start fixing it. The only question left is, are you going to be able to spot the problem when you see it out there in the real world? Because look, being a great leader isn't just about managing people. It's about being an architect of this system that they all work in. It's about spotting those invisible gaps, those information problems that can cause even good, well-intentioned people to stumble. That is the real work of a manager. This quote really gets to the heart of it all. The source paper uses this famous line to make a critical point. Your job as a manager isn't to go out and hire a team of angels. It's to build a system where regular, imperfect humans like you and me are supported and, incentivized to do the right thing. So as you finish your MBA and you head out into the world, here is my challenge to you. Don't just ask who's to blame. Instead, I want you to ask what hidden information problem made this possible. When you start asking that question, that's when you're on the path to building a truly great and truly ethical organization.